This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast, and we are back. The group is back together. Dave isn't ditching out on us again for 3 straight weeks?
It was a couple weeks.
I think it was.
But he was here last week.
Okay,
He was here last week.
sorry, I missed one in the past, like,
you come
4
in
months.
throwing hate, and you're the most, likely candidate.
Yeah, but you have a
recentness.
reputation.
I do have a reputation.
This is 2 for Dave.
Yes, I'm Sean Anderson. Alongside me is Dave Oster.
Hey, guys.
And Ricky Widmer.
What's up?
And Dave's finally back, and I'm finally back. The gang is finally back together. Ricky's got the perfect streak going on. Ricky's been here for like 8 weeks
Ricky
or so.
is the show. Ricky is the network.
Oh, that makes me terrified.
Ricky's clearly just doing 3 different voices, and he's a one-man show.
Ricky's on every single podcast. He's every single voice.
I'm not on. I have yet to be on Behind the Pen.
He is. Oh, that's true.
I've
My
yet to
It's
Ricky's
an
be
behind the
alias.
pen.
It's an alias.
Outside.
It's really Ricky Widmer.
Wouldn't that be something if it was really
It's a
just
one-man
me?
network.
Really, Ricky just wanted to talk about Chicago sports so badly, so he went on Behind the Pen and just made up the Mike Rankin
Yeah, because
pseudonym.
I need to raise my blood pressure by complaining about Chicago sports. That's what I need to do.
Anyways, we're going to jump in today. Our topics today are NBA draft. Who are the biggest sleepers in this draft? Another NBA draft topic. We're going to do revisiting the 2015 draft, kind of redrafting, trying to reslotting based on this year's performances for these prospects. And our final one is going to be our predictions for the Western Conference playoffs and the Eastern Conference playoffs, where these guys are going to be seated and how we kind of see things playing out. But let's jump into the sleepers of the NBA draft for 2016. We've been talking about Simmons and Ingram, and I'm getting sick of the discussion.
Let's talk about other guys.
Exactly. Let's talk about some other guys. And in my recent mock draft, it was my 2.0. I had a couple of these guys in the later halves, and I don't think they're actually going to be first-round draft picks. I think there's younger guys who have more potential that will actually get picked, or teams will see more potential in them, so they'll get picked. But there's guys who are older, guys who are undersized that I think can really be sleepers and really develop into something great if they decide to go to the NBA. Like, some of these don't have choices because they're seniors, but like people like Nigel Hayes, I believe he's a junior, or a guard undersized like Tyler Lewis, who's a sophomore. Maybe he'll come out, and I feel like he should. But I'll get into my sleepers, and I'll say my sleepers, and you guys can say yours and talk about the ones that I said. Fred VanVleet from Wichita State, the senior. I think he could do something pretty well. I think he's going to be better than Ron Baker. Tyler Lewis, like I just mentioned, undersized at 5'9", but I think he's got the skills of an NBA point guard. Kyle Wiltshire from Gonzaga, a senior, 6'10" forward. And then you got Nigel Hayes from Wisconsin, a junior. You got Malcolm Brogdon from Virginia, and you have Bryce Johnson from UNC. I feel like all those guys have NBA potential, whether it be a starter. I think in some cases, some of these guys are going to be starters, and some of them are going to be fantastic role players for teams, or like a 6-man, something like that. But I think these guys can come into an NBA team and make an impact on a championship team.
I agree with you on the VanVleet, and the one thing I'm looking at the 5 that I have, 4 of them are seniors, and 2 of them, same team, Wichita State. I like Baker and VanVleet. I think with Baker, though, it's more of the spot-up shooter. That's going to be his NBA role, because both those players can shoot the ball phenomenally. They've been the best players in Wichita State. Then I have Gary Payton II, the only underclassman, could stay with the Beavers, but we don't know. And then I have Teron Prince, and the more important one that I hope we talk about in depth, A.J. Hammonds.
Well, why don't you talk about AJ?
Fill us in a little bit about it.
What really
think-
about him?
He's got the size, and I think he can produce. But I've seen him against just the last 2 games, against Michigan State and then fucking Little Rock. But it just seems like he didn't want the ball in his hands in key moments. Didn't want to. The big thing with the Michigan State game was he wasn't getting back quick enough on defense. And a guy like Denzel fucking blew right past the whole defense. Big man's not there. I'm going to go to the bucket. So, I mean, those are some little red flags that I've seen. But I look at him, it's like 12 points per game, 7 rebounds. His size of 7'2", 260. It's like, that's a guy I want down low and can develop into a big man in the NBA.
So what's your big concern with him going into the NBA?
It's his attitude. It's the attitude of hustle. That's what I saw the last 2 games, and more so in that Little Rockets. I know maybe it's a big man thing. You want the guard. The guard's going to be the guy who wants the ball.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're the primetime player on that team, you should say, get me the ball down low, we're winning this game.
So do you kind of have a Hasheem Thabit feeling with him that he
little
might
bit.
not have the drive to back him? He's got the size and potential, but he doesn't have the drive to push for it.
Exactly. It's just I'm hoping that those red flags are wrong because I want AJ Hammonds to be something great in the NBA.
Well, do you think he needs a coach to do that for him, or do you think it's just more himself doing that?
I think it's more of just a mature thing.
Really?
As
we're talking about older players.
And
these are not the 18-year-olds coming out.
Maybe it could be a coach too, because that whole team in that Little Rock, Arkansas game, it looked like none of them, Hammonds, any of them, didn't want the ball in their hands when they were shell-shocked and were like, oh, we're going to lose this game in overtime. None of them wanted the ball in their hands that last possession.
Well, out of the 5 you said, who do you think has the highest ceiling, and who do you think could be actually a starter or I don't know about potential all-star, but at least a quality starter?
The highest potential, either GP2 or Van Vliet.
Why?
Because those are the two guys. They're the guards. They're the drivers. Like Van Vliet can shoot it, but he's also a driver. Baker's more of, to me, I feel like in college it's like, yeah, I can drive, but in the NBA, I'm a spot-up shooter. That's going to be my kind of game. That's the role I'm going to have to fill. Gary Payton II, I watch him and I go, you could be your dad. He has all the tools. You could be your dad and a fucking amazing driver to the basket.
And do you think he will become his dad? Do you think he's going to be...
I hope.
Do you think he's going to be the glove, the defensive mastermind?
I feel like part of me wants to say, stay for a year or two. Just stay. Because right now, I'm looking at NBADraft.net, and they have GP2 as a mid-second rounder. So it's like Oregon State, they were a team that was a 7th seed this year. I know it was the first time they made the tournament, and I want to say since me and Dave were born.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
1990 was the last time they were in the tournament. Maybe stay one more year at Oregon State, get your draft stock up, maybe do what Buddy Hield did. Develop, get the draft stock up. Maybe you can become a lottery pick.
What do you think he needs to improve on?
He needs to improve shooting.
Okay.
He's a great shooter, but right now, maybe it's the limited kind of film that I've seen on him, because I'll be honest, I fall into the East Coast, Midwest kind of hole of during the regular season, I got to go to bed, got to get up for work, and all these Pac-12 games are still going on.
Yeah, they end at midnight.
This is the time where I'm like, this is where I'm really getting in to Gary Payton II, but what I see... Man, does he got the tools, and he can. The thing is, I see him more as a driver right now. Maybe if he can develop a few other tools, pass the ball a little bit more, shoot a little bit more, can work his way up into the first round if he stays one more year at OSU.
Who are your sleepers, and who do you think has the highest potential out of yours?
Highest potential? I'm still on Tyler Ulis. I think this kid is absolutely phenomenal. The one knockback is his size.
Is he a first rounder or a second rounder?
I think he's a late first.
Okay.
I think somebody's going to go and snag him in one of the last 4 picks of the first. But watching him play, I think the more I've watched him play, the more I like him, because it was up front there were the initial concerns. Obviously, he was making some really stupid mistakes. His vision wasn't the best, but things just started to click for him in the second half of the season. And as far as his passing has improved dramatically, I think he's making smarter decisions, and it's a quick turnaround. He's only been there, this is his second year. He's putting up 17 and 7. I think there's so much room for this guy to grow, but it's ready for him to be in the NBA. He is ready to be a 6th man this next coming year.
I would say I think the easy NBA comparison to him is just Isaiah Thomas. I think you could just see the same size,
paved it for him. Yeah.
I think you can look at that, and plus the thing you love about the thing I love it. I'm not going to speak for you, but the thing I love about Ulis is he wasn't the man. He was overshadowed on that team by stars like Cat and Booker, and then he steps up to be the man this year, and he does it, and he steps into that role and he performs, and it helps to have a top 5 pick in Jamal Murray on your wing.
Yeah.
But he comes in, he shoots 43% from the field, 33% from 3, which isn't that great, but he could definitely improve that.
He can hit it when he needs to.
He's averaging 17 points a game, 7 assists. He's grabbing three boards as a 6'5'9"
Exactly.
A point guard. So
his energy way up there, his drive way up there,
and I think his determination. I think he has that attitude that you question with AJ Hammonds that he wants to strive. He wants to be the man.
Well, and the only thing I think of, and do I feel like NBA teams should pass on him for this? No, because to me it doesn't fucking matter. But I feel like some teams are going to look at him and go, oh, he's 5'9", he's kind of shorter. I want a point guard who has a little bit more length. We're going to pass on him.
But like Sean just said, like we're seeing the success of the little man.
Yeah, and I know. And it's the one thing where I feel like some NBA teams may do it. Is it enough to make like, oh, he's a late second rounder? No.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a team or two that we talk about at the draft. Oh, they could draft Tyler Ulis, and they pass on him. And I think his size is going to be the thing where people pass.
Isaiah Thomas was the last pick in the NBA draft, so I mean, you could say that there, and then you could also kind of say that.
And look at his success that he's been having.
Yeah, and you could look at other Kentucky point guards. I know Rondo's 6'1", but he kind of like could be like a Rondo.
Rondo is scrappy.
Yeah, very scrappy, but determined. They want the ball. They want to be the man. And obviously that's been kind of a downfall for Rondo because his personality's taken over. But I think Ulis, because with Ulis, he's been on a team before, and there was never a personality issue. He's been on a team where he had to be a role player, and he was still great for Kentucky there. So I think I agree with you that Ulis out of the sleepers there have the highest potential. But I really want to talk about Nigel Hayes because I think I love Nigel Hayes, and you know what, I put him way too high in my first mock draft. I think I had him in the top 15, which isn't going to happen. But I think he could be a top 15, a top 15 level prospect here. I think he's got a potential to be a great six man.
The thing about Nigel is when you go ahead and draft him, the one thing I've seen is you're not drafting the guy that's going to be the face of your franchise.
No,
he's not going to be the main, he's the power forward that's going to start every game. He's just that six man. And the one thing I was watching I want to say it was like the Drive or whatever they have on the Big Ten network, where it's little during the basketball season, it's like every Wednesday night, the little inside stories. And they're talking about Nigel Hayes. And this year with Wisconsin, they were saying, well, last year it was all laughs because they were winning a lot of games. They went to the national title. So just think about him in the Final Four, all the jokes he's cracking in press conferences, how he's doing the fake interview thing of Frank Kaminsky in the what was it, the inflatable house, and everyone's laughing at it because it's on YouTube and it's going viral.
Yeah, that team had great chemistry.
And then this year, the team starts losing, and it's kind of and he even said it in the little documentary part of this film was, yeah, you know what, when you're losing, people look at you weird when it's why is this kid fucking laughing? His team is losing.
Yeah.
But that's his personality. He's a guy that's going to bring a fun kind of joking nature even to the locker room as a bench player and a role player.
He's one of those morale guys.
Yeah,
he's a glue guy.
He's a great glue guy.
All right, yeah.
I would love to have him on. Even the Bulls took him, and
really,
not at 14, but let's say we took him in the
not at 14.
If we took him in the second round, I'd be like, cool, we got Nigel. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, my main concern with Nigel is just looking at him from, like you said, last year to this year. He's been forced into the spotlight, and I feel like he's not comfortable with it. He's heaving up more shots, and he's not making them.
Because he wasn't that wasn't his thing last year. Let Frank
he's
be
not
in the
comfortable
spotlight
there.
Yeah.
So my only concern is he's not going to be a go-to guy, like you said. We're going to hope to get something off of him on the bench.
I'm not saying he's going to have the same exact production that this guy's having, and I'm not saying they're the same exact player, but I'm just saying this might be a comparison.
Okay.
Big Ten player, similar size, 6'8", 6'7". One's obviously bigger. Draymond was a little bit bigger.
I was going to say Draymond.
Wow. Nigel Hayes, actually the same exact size. 6'8" for Nigel Hayes, 235. Draymond, 6'7", 236.
Yeah, but Draymond looks like a Mack truck.
Yeah,
now.
but
Draymond bulked up though.
But looking at his scouting report, NBADraft.net, the overall thing about Draymond. Big Ten Player of the Year, Green has a number of likable qualities, but not one specific skill that a team may be seeking. He's a low-risk, low-reward player considering his role player potential and ability to fit in. His ceiling dances around the mid-20s, where a playoff team can use him now, and he's compliant to better teams. Nigel Hayes, it's same exact spot, late first round, latter half of the second round, and I think that he has similar abilities to a Nigel Hayes, where he's undersized for a power forward or a small forward, but he still has the ability to be a fantastic role player. I think that's what he is. I think he could be one of the best role players to come out of this draft, and I think he could be a six man where you rely on this guy, where you don't need him to score 20 a night, but if he comes in off the bench, puts up 12 rebounds and 5 assists and 3 assists, or 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I think that's just going to be what this guy's ceiling is, but I think he's going to be a notable player out on the court. I think he can make an impact on a team and, help a team like Boston who needs a player that really would step up. And Boston, I think that Brad Stevens can really do that. Yes.
Even though there's rumors that they could be trading draft picks for Boogie.
That's my mock draft. Well, all right. Well, if they're trading draft picks, they're going to keep
they've
at
only
least
got
one. They're
a
not going
couple
to
of draft picks.
Just 4 or 3.
Well,
3 or 4.
It would be the Nets picks that they give up.
Yeah,
for Boogie.
exactly.
Yeah.
So later half, they got Nigel Hayes right there because they're going to fall around the 24 spot.
Would you still take Nigel Hayes if you go ahead and trade for Boogie?
Yeah, because Boogie's a center, and Nigel Hayes is like a small forward, power forward.
Well, I didn't know if you'd want to still take.
And he's a 6 man.
Want to take a big man if it's like.
Well, he's not a big man.
Nigel Hayes isn't the.
I mean, the
big
Celtics
man,
still
but
are overloaded with good but not great bigs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their big problem, but I don't really foresee them shine away from one of these guys.
And I do want to clear up because people are right now either like, oh yeah, I can totally see the Nigel Hayes to Draymond Green comparison,
or they're roasting you in the comments,
or they're roasting. Yeah. I'm not saying Nigel Hayes is Draymond Green, and I'm not saying that Nigel Hayes will be as good as Draymond Green is. I'm just saying he has the potential to be a role player like Draymond Green, or like a budget
Lamar
Draymond
Odom.
Green. Lamar Odom Lamar Odom and Draymond Green are more comparable. All right, Lamar Odom is a great player.
You know what I really want to go back to, and this
What's
is
that?
This was back to what you were saying about Tyler Ulis and how we were saying how teams may pass on him for a size.
Yeah,
There's one guy if he comes out because he still has a year of eligibility left is Cat Barber from NC State, and the reason why I say that is we talked about Ulis being 5'9", and some teams may say, oh, I want to stay away from that. Well, Barber coming out 6'2", 168, has a 6'4" wingspan, so a bigger point guard.
So he's got the physical tools.
Yeah, and he's also he's the kind of player that is quick, can get to the hoop, is his intangibles a little low? I think he needs to stay an extra year and develop, but if Cat Barber comes out, he could be a name that people may go, you know what? You should take him over Tyler Ulis. Just because of size alone, people may fall in love with him over Ulis.
You talk about physical strength. There is that one guy that I mentioned, Bryce Johnson, the power forward from UNC. He's 6'9" at a power forward, so, I mean, kind of the lower half of the size you want for a power forward. But, I mean, he kind of makes up with it with how high he can jump. So basically, you're defending against, you're going up against a guy who can jump to like a 7'2" with a huge wingspan. I love the guy. He's got tenacity. He's out on the floor. He's giving it his all. He's just going after it. And every single year, he's improved. So his first year, he had 5.4 points, and ever since he's climbing up his his field goal percentage has climbed up. His minutes has climbed up. Like his freshman year, 51%. Then sophomore year, 56%. Junior year, exactly 56 again, and then this year 61% from the field, and he's just improved every single year. His just stats have increasingly gotten better.
Out of those older players is the constant improvement, and they're just growing their game.
Exactly, and he's got the physical tools. He's freakishly athletic, and he's got this ability where I think he can just he can be a player where he's just got an all around game where he's kind of like Dwan Blair but with knees.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say, and thinner, and more athletic, and he looks like a basketball player,
so
not like a guy.
Maybe not like Dwan Blair.
No, but he's got because Dwan Blair had power, he had flair. Like when he had the ability to go down the court and dunk, and you didn't expect it, but he had like the thunder and the power. Bryce Johnson has that thunder and power.
Okay. So I can respect that.
I don't know. Probably the worst thing. Maybe because when I think of him as like a big hefty guy, like a Glenn Davis or a Dwan Blair, but he's thin, he's lanky, kind of like a John Henson. That's probably better. John Henson. He's you even got the UNC background there, so I think he's kind of like a John Henson. I think he can be a very all around player that can really just come in. Give tenacity off the bench, kind of like Nigel Hayes too, where he's there's not going to be a character issue because he's always going to be out there giving it his all. And if there is going to be a character issue or like team fighting, it's just because he's going to be taking it too far. But I really love Bryce Johnson. I really love Bryce Johnson coming out of there. Again, final ACC player, and this is the last player I'm going to mention, Malcolm Brogdon. In one mock draft, I saw him going to the Spurs, and I love that. If he went to a team with Pop...
that was the Bleacher Report one.
If he went to a team with Pop, I mean, he's fundamentally sound. He can do basically everything. He's a great guard, and he's great defensively, and he could shoot. He's been improving his three. So,
don't you just hate the Spurs' ability to take guys like that? We'll just tuck them away for a little bit. And what do you know? In 2 years, he's suddenly our sixth man, our seventh. You know, come off bench, doing fantastic things for us.
He'd be great. He'd be like a Danny Green. I don't think he'd be like Kawhi, obviously.
Yeah.
Because Kawhi's a different monster. But I think he'd be like a Danny Green there, Bruce Bowen maybe. Kind of like that player for the Spurs where he can be a starter, but he could also be a fantastic sixth man coming off your bench. So I think there's a lot of guys, if they're put into the right situation, like a Nigel Hayes going to like a Boston or like maybe Golden State.
So with these later guys, it seems team fit is more important maybe than
exactly
overall. Yeah.
Like because the Bulls do a great job of picking great talent, but the talent never fits in well with the team.
I would argue some of that. I see situations, but
I feel like teams like the Spurs and Golden State, they can draft players that will fit the mold better, and they see the talent and they don't see the the knocks on them. Like a Draymond Green, you see he's 6'7", but what position is he going to play? But the Warriors saw the ability to develop him. And you look at the Spurs, every single thing, every basically player they've drafted, like Danny Green was an outcast on the Cavs, so they pick him up, and Danny Green's just been turning into a great NBA player.
Say Slow-Mo's even getting time this year, and he's looking good.
So I mean, there's so many players that these teams can they know how to work, they know how to use their best strengths and then put it towards the team. So I think it's really, if you get the guys with these obvious strengths, and then put them with a team that can develop them, I think these guys can be great. So I think like a Bryce Johnson with his athletic ability, Malcolm Brogdon with his all-around game where he could defend, hit the three. Like even Oklahoma City might be a great place for him too, because they need a 3-and-D player. So I mean, kind of slow. He's not like he doesn't have the speed of Durant and Westbrook, but he's got the ability to shoot and ability to contribute to a team better than a Dion Waiters. So any final sleepers?
There's two names I want to throw out there, and this is just I don't know how they're going to be when they get to the NBA, but Perry Ellis and Wayne Selden from Kansas. I mean, in college, are they fucking amazing? Yeah, in Kansas right now as we're recording this, looks like a team where if it was one of the number one seeds that I had going to the Final Four, I was like, oh, Kansas can do it no problem. The Tar Heels being the other one. But when it comes to the NBA draft, I go, are these guys going to be number one picks? Are they going to do anything if they're drafted in the second?
I think Perry Ellis' stock will draft because he's basically looks like he's 43. So if people see a picture, they'll be turned away.
Well, Ellis doesn't have a choice because he's a
done.
senior. But Selden, does he need to stay that extra year because he's a junior, or does he come out because he's been the better of the two?
I don't think he'll come out. I think he'll probably stay for his senior year.
Especially if they don't win the ship.
Yeah.
I think that will decide it for him.
There's flashes with Wayne Selden where there was that one dunk in the Big 12 championship or the game before the semifinals where he just got up there and just threw it down with thunder, and it was awesome. Kind of looked like a Russell Westbrook dunk. But I don't see anything else that really stands out about his game yet. So maybe I think he needs to stay a year. And same with Perry Ellis, because Kansas big men really don't do too well in the NBA.
No.
So I don't know. It's hard to trust Perry Ellis there because
look at how well we all thought Whitey was going to do,
and Joel Embiid.
Well,
and Nick
Embiid
Collins.
looks like a freak of nature right now.
But freak of natures usually don't stay healthy, Dave. So I think that's the big problem with Joel Embiid is that I don't think he'll ever see the court without breaking his legs because he's walking on glass.
He's got a case of the Greg Odens.
He is Greg. I think he's just Greg Oden basically. I think Greg Oden tried it again, but in a younger body. So I think that was really with Greg Oden. And if we look at the 2007 NBA draft, I think that everyone would easily redraft that one and pick
Really?
KD. Pick KD1 going to the Portland Trailblazers.
That's a shocker.